Are you looking for a smart way to invest your money? Well, it's hard to beat buying a property through your pension fund. We've lots of clients who come to us for advice. Now, sometimes they want advice on a property that's for sale with another agent in Waterford, and we're always happy to advise. There are good buys and maybe not so good buys. So what does a good investment look like? Well, a property that has a strong rental income and returns a good return on the investment. So for example, we have an apartment for sale in 303 O'Connell Court. It's priced at 130,000 and there's a gross 10% yield. That's assuming it sells for the asking price. We see today that there is an apartment for sale in Wellington Street, and that's for sale with Smart Move. That's got another gross return of 10%. Now, when you buy a property through your pension fund, you're actually taking the money directly, putting it into your pension, and it's money that you haven't paid tax on. You don't pay any rental. You don't pay any tax on your rental income. And what's really important, which lots of people don't actually realise, that when you dispose of that asset down the line, you don't actually pay any capital gains. I myself bought an apartment in Strawberry Hill in Waterford and bought it at a great price 2 years ago. And this apartment has already increased substantially in value. If I was to sell it in the morning, which I'm not because I'd take a long-term view on pension, I don't have to pay any tax on the uplift from the price I purchase it to the price I sell it, which is absolutely fantastic because there's very few things in Ireland that you can have that you don't pay tax on. Now, there are a few tips I'd like to give if you're thinking of buying a property through your pension. What we find is that properties with no lifts tend to be less troublesome. Usually they're in an apartment block. Now, I'm actually specifically talking about apartments because it's very hard to buy a house that has a high rental potential and that will give you a really strong yield because you're competing with home buyers. So in the main, the majority of people that we deal with who buy investment properties are buying apartments. That's not to say there mightn't be a great option with a house, but in the main, they're apartments. We usually say no lifts because the service fees can go through the roof when the lifts break down. We often say, properties with flat roofs tend to be problematic, and properties with electric gates, they're all sort of money suckers, basically. So you want a property that's low maintenance. Now, the particular property I bought myself a couple of years ago has its own front door, really lucky, and there's no lift. I love that about it, and we get really, really nice tenants renting from it. So all in all, it's a very tax efficient way of using the money that you might have in your pension fund. And, if you have a pension fund, speak to your broker, find out what you can buy and what's within your means. And if we can help you and give you some advice, we're always here to help. Now, we're not tax advisors. I will stress that. We can't give tax advice. But it's a really, really smart way. I mean, imagine if you had this money resting in the bank, you'd probably be lucky to get 3%. And why not, even if you got 7% gross return, then you have the gain over maybe 10 years. Like it's quite valuable. And we are seeing people coming into the marketplace buying properties in Waterford. Like you can buy an investment property in Waterford, anything from 130,000 up to probably 210,000. So Waterford is probably one of the most competitive places to invest. And let's face it, it is the best place to live in Ireland. Thanks for watching. We're always here to help. Gur Míle Maigad.